Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of TorainTalks. I'm your host, Billy Terrain, and today's subject is going to be about GitHub. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is GitHub? And to explain it simply, GitHub is a platform, cloud platform to be specifically, but a platform that coders could use to help not only manage but share their code along with other coders. And it was actually bought by Microsoft back in 2018 for $7.5 billion. Just to give you a little small insight on how big GitHub is. Now, today's video is just going to be about some of the basic fundamentals of GitHub. We'll be talking about repositories, pull requests, branches, and commits. So let's get on with the video. Now, obviously, the first step before anything is to create your own GitHub account. Now, the first thing we're going to be breaking into is repositories. As you see, I have a repository right here, but let's say if you do not have a repository already, what you would have to do is click new repository to create your own repository, or import a repository, as you're able to look at other people's repositories and import theirs to your own repository. Now you may be asking, Billy, you keep saying this word repository. What does that mean? A repository is basically a location for all of your code, files, and just project resources in general for a project. So as you see here, let's go into my repository. As you can see right here, I also imported this repository from PCSX2 team. Shout out to them. This is actually a repository for a PlayStation 2 emulator. You know, I'm a big PlayStation guy, so I thought this would be really cool to do. So the second thing I'm going to be talking about is branches. Imagine branches as like a parallel version of the repository. Every repository has a main branch. As you see, it says default right here. They named their main branch master. But branches can also be snapshots of the project as well. And so, let's say if I created my own branch right here, I'm gonna call it test. Create a branch. What GitHub just did was they basically took all the information in the main branch, separated it, created my branch, and put the information there. And so what this basically allows me to do is it allows me to tweak with whatever I want within the project, but not affect the main branch. And so this is one of the good qualities of actually having GitHub. So let's say I wanted to create a new file. I'm gonna name the file Torain.md. In the file, it's gonna say TorainTalks was here. Something simple. And the third thing we're gonna get into is commits. Commits are the actual changes that you make inside of the project. But like I said, remember this is within my branch, the test branch. This is not within the main branch. So whatever change that I make here is not going to affect the main branch. It's only going to affect my branch. So let's say if I add Torain.md, you can also put descriptions here for why you possibly may be doing what you're doing in terms of the changes. And so I commit the change. Now, if we go back to the code, we're still in my branch. If you look down, we now have Torain.md here. But if we go back to the master branch, it's still not here. Now, there is a way to get my branch's information into the main branch. So let's say if this was somebody else's project, like I was in someone else's repository, instead of importing their repository into mine, which is now an independent repository, I would have to do a pull request, and I would have to wait on them to answer the pull request. Now you'd be like, Billy, what's a pull request? So a pull request basically allows other people in the project or other coders to be able to see my branch and the commits that I changed within my branch. And then it allows them to not only accept my commits, reject my commits, or basically, actually accept my commits or reject it, or even suggest my commits. And so, because of the fact that this is my own independent repository, I don't have to wait on somebody accepting or rejecting anything. So let's say if I wanted to throw in a pull request. All I have to do is click pull request. The base, of course, is going to be the default branch, the master branch. And then next is going to be my branch, which is the test branch. Now, as you see, it has my pull request for the commit that I made, right? TorainTalks was here. I click create pull request. Now, of course, I could write a description, as you can see, description for the changes, why the changes were needed, and just suggesting, like, testing the steps. And so this is just a description that you could write so the actual person that runs the main part of the project could see why you believe this commit is needed for the main. Now I click create pull request. Now just because I created the pull request, again, does not mean that it's in the main yet. It's not in the main branch. It's just now that everybody can see my commit. The main person can see my commit, and now they can make a decision if they want it or not. But because it's just me, I want the pull request. So I confirm and merge. And it also gives you the option now to delete the branch. And you'll see why I deleted the branch in a few seconds. So if we go back to code, if we click master, you clearly see that the test branch is no longer here. But if we scroll down, terrain.md is now within the main branch, the master branch. And this is what I have here for today, YouTube. This has been episode 2 of Terrain Talks. And until next time.